Hello, Professor Mahfi actually talked about where we came from, and we've discussed a little bit about what direction we're taking, but where digital banking will head to is the point of our discussion today. Thank you very much for coming, Ceren and Ozan. Ozan, you're far from me, so let's start with you. So up to now, well, you started with branches and then alternative distribution channels followed, mobile banking and web banking also came into play. Where are we heading to? What are the users expecting from us? Is it just about adding new functions to what's existing, or new products being used on new channels? But are there also differentiated expectations of customers? What are you estimating? Thank you so much for inviting me. Well, Aaron, you're right, actually. Because the competition between banks is more than just an add-on, adding a new feature, because in this new age of digital banking, customer expectations need to be understood very well, because the digitalization of our country is very high, and banking customers today, 90% of them are digitally active, and most of them are using mobile apps. I would like to give you some figures from Akbank. Well, at the core of what we do, at Akbank, 96% of our daily transactions are carried out on our digital channels at Akbank. And Akbank Mobile is quite popular, and monthly login penetration of customers is 30. So basically, more than once a day, Akbank customers log into the banking app, and that's actually a significant figure for banks. And on the customer's side, the customers compare their banking applications with other digital experiences that they have. So my competitor is not other banks, but other experiences. Because when we think of it this way, simplicity, speed differentiated us in the past, or other banking functions, but we feel that we need to go beyond that. Right now, in 10 seconds, customers can pay their bills, so they're no longer impressed by these kinds of developments. This just turned into something standard and expected. That's why, right now, we at banks need to handle this kind of a situation. And here is the transformation we are expecting to see. So, rather than an approach that will meet the customer needs, we will have to transition to predict customers' needs. So the customers expect the banks to understand them, predict their needs ahead of time, and then take action before they even request a certain service. So if a bank provides such services, they will be differentiated, and that's exactly where we're focusing at Akbank. We're trying to understand the customers better, and we have analytic models. We have about 400 of them today, so we're trying to predict the next action by the customer. So we want to engage with our customers in a more meaningful way. Let me give you a few tangible examples. Akbank mobile app is a place where you log in today, and you would be welcomed by this red zone, which is the mobile communication area. And then we have about 60 smart insights that we generate based on our customers about their financial health and robustness. So we have our financial services and solutions where we help our customers save more, manage their spending, and also manage their future transactions. We have another feature. We have an AI robotic assistant. We have proactive interaction that comes along with this robot. So if we see that a customer is facing a problem, both inside and outside the app, we engage in contact with the customer and then try to respond to their problem. So for example, on the checkout page of an e-commerce website, you're trying to finish a transaction, and then you find that your credit card limit is not sufficient. But Akbank realizes this, and they notify you of a possibility to increase your credit card limit, and they ask you whether you want to proceed or not. So it's very simple but very effective. That's how you finish your shopping experience and carry on. Another very specific transformation that I will expect to see is that integration and orchestration will come to the fore. Open banking paved the way for that. We have embedded finance services with which we work with other outsourced platforms, so we have partnerships with platforms outside of our company. But right now, with platform banking, we help manage the daily needs of our customers, and they will find an ecosystem where they can find financial services beyond what they need. So basically, in travel, housing, and vehicle verticals, you can plan your trips with AI. And so basically our customers can reach services beyond banking in over 100 varieties. In a nutshell, in the upcoming term, we will be needing proactive experiences where we predict customers' needs ahead of time, and we need to leverage AI and behavioral insights and real-time data. And we need to integrate all of this into every layer of customer engagement, and we need to establish empathy with customers and engage with them in smart relationships. So you said platform banking and proactive banking. So you're saying that the bank is expected to cover a lot of services. So basically there are other sectors that penetrate into that area as well. And you see other players. So as a bank, what kind of an advantage will you have? So is it about a demand coming in from the customers, or is it about a forecast that the banks will take that direction? So here's where we're looking at. We're not really working on a demands-based approach. So we try to fix a problem that a customer has. We have an advantage of having a massive customer base and a massive customer traffic. And we have solutions that can fix the problems of our customers. So they're daily needs of our customers, and we have financial solutions where we use our own orchestration, and it's a customer journey where we will differentiate as banks compared to other players out there. Jeran, same question. But in terms of experience, so we're always talking about digital. We, of course, are not ignoring what we have at branches, but how digital are the branches? So are we still drinking tea, sitting down with the branch official, and do we have in-person engagement with banking staff and the branches? So what kind of future do you expect to see there? Let's take a step back, and we should point out the following. So we have the same circumstances, we have the same conditions and similar customers, and we have the same priorities with other banks. And our most critical instrument is AI, just like Professor Mahfeydinmez said. How well can we leverage it, and how fast can we be experts in it? Because technology advances really fast. You can say, well, I am using AI, but that's not the end of the story, because the moment you say that, you will find out that a new feature is already launched. So yes, on the front end, where we have contact with the customers, we come up with customized and smart offers for them, and we also have suggestions for their financial health. But at the same time, on the other hand, there are solutions where we'll have more engagement with customers, because we're talking about a human-to-human contact. Again, we don't want to lose the human touch. Nobody wants that. Even when we think of, for example, the new generation, they don't like to speak on the phones. They like to send instant messages, but even they want to speak to a person when it comes to a decision about their banks and their financial accounts. So we first began with operational work. Can we, for example, make sure that the branch staff no longer engage in operational work, but then replace it with that? We have recently celebrated our centenary, so we started with branches, and then we added other channels on our service diversity, but we're not shutting down branches. We still have ATMs because there is a need for cash. So all of these channels can be brought together where we engage with customers in a proactive and customized way. So we want to give them the feeling that the experience at the bank gives a benefit. So we really need to combine all of these elements together in a really nice way. Again, we're working on AI scenarios to help improve that. Precisely, we started with NLP. So we started with the first versions of AI. So we had a virtual assistant, and now we have more than 11 million users of that virtual assistant. And right now, that virtual assistant is the direct contact person for lots of operations. We have a mobile app where this virtual assistant is the person, so to speak, with which they find solutions. So we want to really support it further. If there is a problem at an ATM, we want them to fix it, for example, on their mobile app or on the call center, but then being redirected to Maxi. And when they come to the branch, it's not just about a sales offer, but it could be any other proposition that we can provide to the customer, but we make use of AI as well, even with in-person contact with the customer at the branch. But at the very extreme end of it, here's what I see. That human contact, is that necessary at the bank itself? Because everybody is using a mobile app. It's very frequently used. Some customers can use, for example, the mobile app as a brick-and-mortar app because they do all of their work there. So we want them to communicate with Maxi, our digital assistant, first. So we want customers to be helped with the developing capacities of AI, but where we can no longer do that, if we necessarily have to have a human being, then we need to have the right person who has the right answers and who will have the fastest response to a problem at hand. And we're working on precisely that. So we have pilot work where we test certain scenarios and try to find out where we're best, because things do not always look the same on paper in real life. So that's how we're expanding our possibilities. So I think it's quite hopeful we can manage it. And at the same time, employees will also benefit from AI, and they will feel empowered by it, and they will see the positive impact of AI in a very tangible way in the way they work. And I'd like to add one more thing. We develop further our apps with AI, so there's a vast amount of expertise in that very area. But on other platforms, we have certain experiences and expectations that we also pay a lot of attention to. We ask, why not? Because as you know, we are all competing for the attention of the customer. When you grab their attention, make sure you keep it. So both with financial and non-financial features that you offer on the app. But if we are, for example, attracting the attention of the customer elsewhere, then we need to respond to their needs wherever they are. So we have proactive, customized approach that we develop with AI, but this needs to be offered irrespective of the platform. The experience needs to be the same. And maybe we can add into the mix a live person, an employee. So you said irrespective of the platform. At İş Bankası, in the upcoming term, what kind of expectations do you have? So what kind of channel developments are you expecting, and where are you heading to? So we've been investing in this area for a while now, and we've been working on it for quite a long time. What kind of a business model are we thinking for banking? Well, I believe that it's the next level channels. In Europe and in America, there are so many varieties of scenarios that are in use. In Turkey, we have, for example, loan giving at the moment of payment, and it's not going to be limited to just loans, and we believe that those models are in the pipeline. But it's a business model change, like I've said. It's not just about developing a technology and launching the product at the back office. You have lots of business processes, and then you have your relationships with your partners. So we need to restructure, rethink so many other elements. What is expected and what can we add? So we really need to find the answers to these questions. We are making an investment in that area, and here's what I see. So we are building the tunnels and then the bridges, and then the traffic will start on the journey, but we are at the very, very early stage. And we're talking about the very first version, and we have to be ready for that because we don't exactly know right now, and we'll try and learn. That's why different scenarios will be at play in the upcoming term, and we're going to increase them in number too and generalize. So we've talked about several types of transformation. About nearly 15 years ago, the benchmark for success in a bank was about branch numbers, and then it was about the number of clicks on the website, and then the success parameter moved to apps. And in the upcoming term, you said we're going to have third parties involved. So we'll have different metrics and different success criteria will be at play. Like you said, for example, instantly paying one's bill is no longer an achievement. Or, for example, using a certain product on the mobile app is not an achievement. In the upcoming term, what will be the success stories of banks? What kind of metrics will you say to manifest your success? It's not about transactions on a mobile app or branches, but where you've left off, what would you like to say? What kind of a success story are we going to tell? Satisfaction is at the core of what we're looking at, because we need to really make sure that they pay the bill as well. So we need to really make sure that that satisfaction is not jeopardized. So we want them to find what they're seeking, even without knowing what they're seeking. So it's about the satisfaction score, but it's a little bit difficult to tell apart the two things. So this is the story that we're creating, but on digital channels, along with all the platforms, what can we do? And we're asking that in a more specific way. How happy are you with our app? How happy are you with XYZ platform? Of course, there are people that are not that satisfied, and we ask them why. We try to find out why. And if there are assignments for us to take home, that we work on them too. But beyond that, we cannot always ask the questions all the time to everyone. But what are we looking at? We are looking at how active the users are and what kind of a meaningful engagement can I have with my customers. So they come to İşCep, our apps. What do they do? Do they do what they do regularly? So on the super app side, we have new features, and there are non-banking experiences that are available. So we have more than 1 million customers that register their vehicles on our app, and they receive certain services on our app. So we believe that they are more loyal to the bank because they're using these non-banking services, and it's more profitable for the bank too. Obviously, we don't know whether it's related to the use service that they use, but these features make the customer happy.
Birazcık da bu yani yapay zeka
and artificial intelligence, what kind of benefits it'll bring to us, and how can we measure things with that, and what we need to measure thanks to AI. And we need to keep our radar open all the time, and it's not going to be like this is the conventional measurements and these are the benchmarks and metrics. So, I mean, it is reiterating itself, so we will see. And revenue models will also change, and we will see different changes there, because business models will transform themselves, and the channels that banks are not necessarily managing, they will start services there. And how are the internal functions going to be transformed? This is also quite an important question for the internal functioning of the banks. Ozan, you made a reference to that. You said that you began using some of those channels like financial health records. And from a customer's perspective and operational perspective, or what would you like to study in the coming period? The digitalization level of Turkey, we discussed that under the first question, and the expectations, we talked about that in the first question as well. Yes, expectations have changed, and the metrics will have to change, and they will have to evolve. And as we are defining the new metrics, we need to ask new questions to ourselves. And the first question would be, am I able to boost welfare of the customer? Are customers trusting me? And can I create an impact on the ecosystem? And once we are able to give an answer to those questions, and this will help us define the metrics for achievements and success. Financial health will definitely be a criterion for success because we create thousands of insights, and on a monthly basis, over 40 million insights we prepare for customers, unique insights. So how many insights we generate, how many customers see those insights, and how many customers click on that. I mean, these numbers will not really represent any success for me. I need to look into whether this insight was beneficial for the customer, and whether the financial solution in that insight was leveraged by the customer. Did it really create any benefits for the customer? And for the customers who've been using those insights over a period of time, have I been able to also improve their financial standing? And these will actually constitute my new metrics for success. And the second point is related with trust, and I'm talking about something that transcends beyond the perception of trust, how we manage AI, how we use data, and what kind of an engagement we have with customers, whether we are transparent in that, because AI and data being leveraged by us for the benefit of customers, and customers need to feel that. They need to know that. At Akbank, we have issued our AI manifesto. We didn't have any regulations whatsoever. We just adopted it in all our banking processes, ethical and sustainable adoption of AI, and we took a proactive step to secure that. And these kinds of targets, setting these kinds of targets, is an important step to create a bond of trust between banks and customers. And the second metric will be financial inclusion, because we're talking about quite an advanced and sophisticated banking industry. However, young people, senior individuals, micro entrepreneurs, and a portion of the freelancers in certain segments, we have seen that they have not received sufficient level of services, and digitalization is one of the most effective tools for digital inclusion and maybe financial inclusion, and maybe we can come up with a recipe here of three components. Effective onboarding processes will be the first component, to include them in the system somehow, and the second is related with products and services and how to make them more accessible and making them more accessible. For example, microcredits or micro-saving products. For example, last year, digital portfolio management was one of the products that we launched last year, and high level or high segment investors were receiving portfolio services at very high costs from different firms, and we democratized it. And this is one of the important examples of what we did, and the design, using the design as a language of financial inclusion. For all our products and services, we are using our design in the most intelligible manner, and we put this at the core, at the center of everything that we do. So in a nutshell, it is imperative that these metrics change, and these three components and criteria will be the topics that the banks will keep a close eye on. Yes, we talked about transformation, how we need to measure it, but how we need to do it, this is also another topic. Well, transformation, content transformation, technology coming to the prominence, and new technologies resurfacing. But in the coming period, will it be an organizational or cultural transformation, or will it be about technology coming to the fore? Will it be about talent? I mean, what kind of domains that the banking industry should be placing its focus on? I would like to approach it from a different angle here, but the first thing that I'd like to say is, independent of the period, the most strategic investment would be in innovation and innovative corporate culture. Banks need to invest in that. Technology trends are evolving all the time. They're evolving rapidly. And as they evolve, we are changing as well. IoT has changed us. And generative AI is also putting us through a bigger period of transformation. And therefore, in the implementation scenarios, these questions become the driving force, and we need to leverage them effectively. And financial institutions are using them quite effectively. And technology does not suffice alone. And we need to strengthen and fortify the human leg, and technology providers also need to unite forces with us. I would like to focus on cooperation and partnership, and competitive partnerships are important. The dynamism of competition and the synergy created by partnerships and collaboration, we need to infuse them, and we need to grow this way. And as we do that, we need to come together with the players of the ecosystem, rapidly experimenting the technologies and creating common benefit, shared benefit. And fintech startups or all technology companies must find new areas for development and improvement. And in a sector as dynamic as ours, we need to actually leverage this factor to create the synergy that we need here. And Akbank Innovation Center is positioned at the center of transformation. Akbank Lab was established in 2015, and it is aimed at facilitating innovation. And to date, in all parts of the world, we have received ventures, and we made sure that thousands of them went live, and 7 of them are going to be also onboarded. What I'm trying to say is, innovation and governance model is related with the innovative capabilities of startups. And we also have an approach of open innovation here. And Akbank Lab is not only a place where innovations are cultivated, collaboration, speed, and cultural transformation will also be cultivated here for us. And from that vantage point, we need to put transformation, innovation, and culture at our hearts, and we will keep on pioneering the transformation of the industry. Yes, collaboration and some organizational changes and cultural changes will also follow, right? And the impacts of that will also feel that. Ceren? I will say artificial intelligence, but I'm not only talking about its technology dimension. I'm talking about its cultural repercussions and how employees feel themselves, how they leverage it, and because AI and how we use AI will change even the organizational chart. And so transformation will be the natural result of that, but how to really manage that, how to really put it in the direction that we desire, this is important. And yes, in the finance industry, technology has been using intensively, and we have a lot of data here, and AI will be quite important here. And the same kind of transformation is at the doorstep of many other industries, and it's going to be much faster for us, and we need to have a full grasp of it very rapidly, and we need to pass a decision about what we need to do, how we need to go about that. And in the past, everybody was positioned as a technology company. We weren't banks, but now we are AI companies. companies now. For example, we first started as mobile first, and now AI comes first for us. Yes, technical capabilities and having that kind of a know-how and experience, it's definitely essential. But working with AI is something else. 120,000 people is the total or headcount for us, and we have employees all across the country, and they need to be involved in this transformation first and foremost. And yes, we have completed certain transformation projects, and we know which what kind of transformations proves to be successful, but we need to be quite prepared in terms of our business model. AI is not only changing banking itself, they're going to, our customers, they're going to change too. So it's going to be a reciprocal interaction, and all the parties in this interaction will act as agents and models. And so this is the scenario in front of us. To what extent it's realistic for us? Yes, we're working to create value, but for example, looking at the offerings at ISCHEP, is that an AI eye or is that a human eye? And we need to think about that in the design of the products, in the reporting processes, and in the governance in the organization. We need to be prepared for these kinds of questions, and talent transformation will also be essential for us to be leveraging these kinds of tools as well, and they all need to work in synchronicity, and we are now on the journey. Yes, we have robust technology here, and the tools that we generate, we use them, and we also have other open innovation tools so that inject speed to us as well. And transformation here, if one part of transformation is missing, it's not really going to have an impact on the customers. So we need to make sure that all the balls are turning, and we need to do it in a balanced fashion. Yes, exactly. And in the coming period, we are eagerly expecting to see what these notable organizations will bring to us. Thank you very much.